I remember a lot more people at the hospital who struck number ones.
Yes. So welcome to the March 2018 Omaha Land User Group. I'm John Larson. I'm here to work for AIM Brain Exchange, where we have these lovely spaces for us here tonight. Let's see, what's been going on lately? Oh, door again. More people. Awesome. Wow. Hello, hello. Hey. Come on in. What do you know what's happening?
Binding Beavers releasing beta in 2 days.
Wow.
It's going to be very interesting. Binding Beaver is probably going to be one of the better releases of OLUG for quite a while. They've dropped pretty much everything that was unique to that.
Oh, really?
Well, they're not unit anymore. They're going to know. But Unity like what? They're dropping Wayland. They're going back to XOR for this release because it's a long-term support release. They're totally system D now, so I think they're finally starting to purge the upstart and all the rest of the stuff they had in there. For a while there, if you were running 16.4, you had 3 different init systems, all totally system. Something was starting. You didn't know when, you didn't know where, but it was going to go. But no, it was a pretty good release. So
good.
The beta started a couple days. I mean, it's supposed to be released towards the end of April. Fedora 28 is still ways away.
It's a ways away. I would say June, late May. There was some weird stuff that I had with it in Wayland.
Yeah.
NVIDIA drivers.
So I think Wayland is the login compositor for 1804, but other than that, it's not anymore. So I know people who've very smart people that I've worked with that have had nothing but love with Wayland. It's like all of a sudden your mouse button doesn't do what it used to do. It doesn't click anymore the way certain stuff.
Yeah, my middle mouse button at home is just not working.
Yeah.
And this is like I've replaced the mouse more than once.
Yeah, GNOME is working to deprecating the whole middle mouse.
But then there'll be an extension to bring it back, right?
Does Ubuntu still support 32-bit?
I think they're dropping it this early. I mean, there'll be a group that still does it. It's like if you look, there used to be the Ubuntu phone thing that still exists. It's called UB ports now. They just added one of the Moto G5 plays, which is a G4 play, which is a machine with 8 gigs of storage, 1 gig of RAM. It's like just run on my phone. I think we should try it out. Also, they turn over a whole bunch of hardware with UB ports, guys. So. There's always coupling to that whole judge.
Pretty soon I'm going to have to go to Gen 2.
Slack's
probably going to support.
Slackware requires a 46 now. They raised that. They raised it about 3 or 4 years ago. The requirement was 46, and there were people angry.
Does anybody actually remember the real difference between the 386 and the 486? Built-in math coprocessor, yes. Mm-hmm. There were 3.
Unless it was a 46SX.
Yeah.
There were 3 publicly accessible instructions that were included, and 3 that were privileged instructions, and they were undocumented. That was the difference in the core.
Sure, that was a privileged execution. Whoa!
So, does anyone else have love with Meltdown?
It's just been crazy.
I've seen, I mean, some of my stuff, I've seen some severe slowdowns because I'm doing some very memory intensive stuff.
Well, I mean, which wave of patches? There's been so many of them.
Well, no one seems, it seems like Replicon is not really that popular. That's Google's patch for the Spectre stuff. Meltdown is just pretty much updated from microcode and just that itself is very interesting how that works. If you ever read the original cert advisory, it says suggest replacing your chips to resolve the issue. The next day they tweet that out.
That's not a good suggestion.
Well, no, because Intel's even their new chips are going to still have that vulnerability. The next one's going to have updated microcode, so will have the mitigation built into it still.
Minus had its comment about the chips too.
Has there been any good exploits based on it?
I don't know if Metasploit has one yet, but I've seen some proof of concepts out there now.
But nothing that's actual virus.
It's only a matter of time. But I mean, they're not.
When somebody
going
publishes a proof of concept, a source code, then it should only take that day until.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not out there looking for that one. It's more like I'm more in denial about that one.
There are 0 ports open from the outside world in on my router. Good luck.
Well, what are you routing to then?
Yeah.
I'm just there to go out. Nobody comes in.
Hmm.
I got no reason for somebody to come in my own.
Cool, but yeah, no, it's always fun stuff. Input X, when's that?
Oh, that is this month.
Let's look into that, yeah.
I should look that up. That's
March 21st. Yeah. 2012. Man, I screwed this one.
Yeah, well, I know because I have an event on the 28th as a follow-up to Infotech. In fact, I got an email blast about that.
I have I'm still working my international space code contest entries. So
going to try something new.
25th anniversary. I've won twice. I'd like to win one more time.
I will be at the Triad Zone this year. Oh, come on.
On the 27th?
Yeah.
The 26th is the half-day workshops, which I need to.
Seriously?
What? It's all good, man.
No, there's no dates in the email.
And March 21st is the Nebraska Cybersecurity Forum down in Giants Cafe. Keelan Stewart will be talking about cybersecurity risk management, which sounds pretty good. And I just looked through a quick passage of Keelan's slides. He's the first second generation person presented Nebraska Cert. His mom was a big part of Nebraska Cert. So
wow.
We're excited to get the next generation.
What day is that?
Wednesday the 21st. Over lunchtime down at Giants Cafe, 27th and L Street. Hit nebrascacert.org. It has all the information about it.
Nebraska what?
Cert.org.
CERT.
That's all I got.
Tonight's episode. 15 clicks things you should know before an interview. I'm going to shut your office.
All right. So first off, I am Aaron Grothe. The font is different than I expect because LibreOffice decided to go fancy when it brought it down to Google Docs. It's not bad. It's readable, very readable. Running Arch now on the little book, which Arch is both beautiful and sadistic at the same time. So I really like it. Everything is the most up-to-date version of anything possible. It's a rolling distribution, so the new version of Grails is out. You got the latest version of Grails, new version of Linux kernel's out. You got the latest version of new kernel. You got this. It's in a lot of ways. I mean, I've been down this road before with Gen 2 and all the other variations and stuff like that. This one seems to actually work pretty well. So,
what's the package manager for Arch?
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man.
Yeah.
How do you like that? I mean,
it handles dependencies pretty well. One thing that's a little annoying about it is when you do a Pac-Man and like dash SUY to just do your updates, it doesn't clean your cache automatically afterwards. So on this machine only had 32 gig of space, so I let it run for an hour. I was running for like a month. I'm like, I got like 200 meg free. What the? Oh, I didn't clean the cache. But it keeps all of them so you can roll back and forth with it. It does dependencies really well and stuff like that. So for a rolling distribution, I've had better luck with it than I have with a lot of other ones. Don't get me wrong, you'll always have changes that come out, like when there's a major kernel release or KD or VLC like that. Sometimes you'll have issues. I had some issues with VLC in its pack because I had to back some stuff out and take a different path and stuff like that with some stuff with XFonts. But overall, worked pretty well. So, and it's reasonably lightweight, so for stuff, so worked pretty good. But I've been presenting at these things for a long time, so. I've interviewed and been interviewed by a lot of people for Linux positions. A question I get asked every now and then is, do you have a list of questions you ask people? I don't normally have a real formal list of questions for me to wing it, but there are ones I tend to keep asking all the time because they give you a chance to get an idea of the person's thought process. So you don't just know, does this person know X? Does this person know Y? Because when this person sees something he hasn't seen before, what is he going to do? A lot of the questions seem pretty basic to everybody in this room. But if you don't know a couple of them, hopefully it'll be worthwhile for you. A lot of places want to hear your thought process. I should mention that again. So talking out loud while you're thinking about something can be helpful, depending on how you're thinking about it. So always keep in mind, of course, if it is gibberish, it may not be helpful. This laid out in Q&A format. My answers might not be the best ones, so please feel free to contribute. They are answers, and there's never usually a best answer for almost anything. These are mostly terminal-based, because if you're doing servers, that kind of stuff, you'll be doing that stuff. A lot of these things you can also do through the GUI, but you'll always have a terminal, may not always have a GUI. That's just the way it should be. You should know how to do everything in Linux underneath the GUI. It's one of the reasons why PowerShell is so popular with those guys, because it can almost do everything the other stuff does. If there are other questions similar to those that you think might be useful to group people, please let the group know. No reason to be quiet. It's a pretty open group. Hopefully, it'll be interactive and productive session. So, one thing to keep in mind is that interviewers don't know everything either. They may use incorrect or different terms to find things as well. Here's an example from my personal life. I was in an interview with a certain search company, who remain nameless, and they started asking me about slash addressing. So they said, what's a slash address? It's like, what are you referring to? It's like, I've never heard slash address in that thing. So we go back and forth, and eventually he explains to me, it's like after you have an IP address, you have a slash, they'll have something like 24 or 16 at it. And my response to that was CIDR. Yes. So you mean cider notation. Yeah, or cider. But I pronounce it the Matt Payne way, which is cider. Matt Payne.
That's even more reason for me to say cider.
That's why it's always Kron, Chaon, Chimad. They're all Matt Payneisms. But I had been going back and forth with the guy for quite a while, and that just to figure out. I wasn't gaining any points during that time frame. Once we actually both understood what we were talking about, it helped out a lot. Yeah, if you would use the phrase slash notation, that would have probably also got me over the hump, which eventually I think is what we came back to. But you'll run into that thing. There's various companies that use different things. Like if you start talking about how you roll out new products, there'll be the differences between blue-green team versus red-black teams. Almost everybody uses the term blue-green, except for Netflix. They use red-black, and since they're pushing their stuff like Spinnaker and stuff like that, Spinnaker IO, which is a really cool piece of software I just saw the other day. You always have to make sure to keep that in mind. But the important thing is to keep talking to the person, ask questions, try and get more information about, try and get into the terms you know. And if you don't know, obviously it's sometimes all right to say you don't know. This is the first one. I asked this question to everybody. What Linux distribution do you use and why do you use it? I used to always say there's not a wrong answer for this question until about 10 years ago I was interviewing someone and I realized there is a wrong answer to this question. I asked the gentleman, it's like, what Linux distribution do you use? I like all of them. It's like, do you have a favorite? No, they're all great. They're all tremendous. It's like,
kind of clear they don't know.
and I'm just like, maybe I'm asking you correctly. So I'm like, do you prefer RPM? Or do you prefer Debian package managers? Do you prefer Pacman? Do you prefer this? It's like, they're all tremendous. It's like, oh. Because he could have said Red Hat. I would have gone, oh, okay. He's got some idea there. It's Debian, Arch, and he could have pulled out Slack or Gentoo. I would say, but there is a wrong answer. I never thought there was until that one gentleman. I've never had anybody else give me the wrong answer.
An actual answer, there isn't necessarily a wrong answer.
Yeah.
What ends up being a bogus answer.
Yeah. This is the classic softball question. It shows the thought process. I want to hear what someone's going to say about it. You have to be able to have a conversation, talk about why you want to do stuff. You should also be able to give a bit of defense of it, regardless of whatever your answer is. Example given, I use Debian because I like the package manager, the test distribution to keep things up to date pretty well, and most things are available for it. Stable doesn't change and works well for serving. That would be the answer I would give most people. Another answer is I like Arch Linux because it has the latest version of packages, including things like Grails, Groovy, kernel, etc. Also a valid answer. Another one is I like CentOS because of what I learned at work and it just stays out my way. I know some people are very smart that use CentOS as their main desktop just because they don't want to screw with it. And then it's like to work, and they don't enjoy the distribution for the distribution, enjoy it for what it can do for them. I understand that, but the point being, I consider any of those a good answer, at least a valid answer. The idea is you should be able to explain a little behind it. You should be able to say, this is it. This is how my thought processes work. This is what gets me from A to B. If you don't write any information beyond that, they might wonder a little bit about it. Of course, if you badmouth Ubuntu and it's an Ubuntu shop, it might not be the best, wisest course of action.
Well, at least then you quit wasting your time. You can just go.
Well,
That's why that's SPR for your job.
they might also feel your pain.
Yeah.
Some people, you know.
Not everybody that works there likes it.
No, but I tend to try and be more positive. I mean, if you ask me about Ubuntu, my main response to it is, well, they seem to do a fine job of ripping off Debian. It's an amazing thing. What he did was he started shipping out CDs for free to people freers, and had the whole concept of it being a free thing. Now he's trying to work towards IPO, obviously, getting this cash out for it. So, I mean, the guy's already a billionaire, and he wants one more shot at $1 billion. But Yellowworth's a pretty smart dude. I mean, he spent a lot of time doing that. I mean, they did a lot of things with like Progeny and other distributions and Storm and LibreNet and stuff like that in the past to make the Debian more friendly. There's also User Linux by Parents, which was a really good idea, which unfortunately didn't get left behind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that came out right before Ubuntu just got steamrolled over the top of it. There's also Xandros, which didn't turn out to be a great idea. But it all comes back to, if you're going to badmouth, you better have a really good reason for badmouthing. If you do badmouth Ubuntu because you hate their stupid ass start thing, then you have to be ready to say, oh, if they change that, then all that kind of stuff as well. So. But I usually try and keep that one reasonably positive, give them a false sense of confidence that I might be a happy-go-lucky employee before I come to show up at the door. Question number 2. How do you update a system or install a package? You should at least know how to do this for your favorite distribution. Using automated tools is also good. They'll go through and talk about explain it. So the answers, you should know how to update a system with Fedora, CentOS, DNF, upgrade. Nowadays in Fedora, DNF is just the other system linked to DNF, so it's the same deal nowadays. Yum isn't around for 27 anymore. It's totally.
I don't think Yum's been around for a while, but there's a
That's all I use.
Yeah.
It's still in Cent 7.
Yeah, I still use
CentOS might have it, but
yeah.
Right. Sadly, the person behind Yum was killed in an accident.
Debian Ubuntu, app update, app upgrade versus app. We're going to be able to talk about the difference between upgrade versus this upgrade, et cetera, and stuff like that. And the other question is, do you do apt or apt minus get the way God intended it? Apt is the new way of doing apt, get is the right way of doing it. What?
I use the app.
Good man. Arch, Packhand, SYU. On Gen 2, it's emerge, this, all that kind of stuff. It's a merge. Sit there for a minute, pray a little bit, then hit enter. Just let the world take its path. Oh. When it works, it's phenomenal. I was just gonna say. You should know how this all packaged on the system. Fedora, CentOS, Yum, DNF install. Bonus points we're talking about rpm.idh. Debian Ubuntu app install, dpackage.i. And you can go through the whole process with that. Arch packend.sy, then the package name. Just should know basically just how to put a package on the system. Yeah. Okay. And of course, if you ever really break a Debian system, you can do it in layers. The first layer will be you break it through apt-get. Then you will start going through dpack. You will start doing deselect and break it more. Then you will go down to dpackage and you will finish the breakage. The same thing you do with CentOS. Once you start breaking stuff with Yum and then or DNF, then you start breaking stuff with RPM. You just keep going further and further to the point where you're down to tar and you're just like reinstalling the box. You know what you're gonna do, but you just want to see how much more stuff can break on the way down. So you don't have LS anymore.
Yeehaw!
That gives you a basic. You should know how to do it. If you don't, you shouldn't be applying for a Linux job. Let's be honest. How do you determine the distribution and kernel that are running on a system? What's the answer for this one? What was yours?
Union dash A.
All right.
Cat, that's a really got to use. And then Ubuntu, I don't do good enough yet. I still haven't got that memorized.
The kernel, the best answer is probably uname-a or some variation of it. For the distribution, about the only thing to survive from Linux standard space is LSB release dash. It'll tell you whether you run an Arch, Debian, CentOS, etc. It's Linux standard base is this tremendous concept of trying to create a base that you could actually compile your programs one way and would be able to install on any Linux system. It would be able to actually handle it. And it has been totally deprecated by everybody. Debian gave up on it a while ago. Red Hat still has a little bits and pieces of it. But LSB release dash A is still reasonably popular.
Well, it's still some of the guidelines behind user is still part of that, isn't it?
I don't know. There's still some, I mean, there's still some parts of there. I mean, some ideas behind it, but I mean, the LSB packages were deprecated for Debian quite a while ago and stuff like that. So I mean, you can't use it to, you can use it to certain commands, but you can't build a package with it that'll be runnable across multiple systems. It's too bad because it was a really cool idea. It's just there wasn't enough desire for it. For distributions, there's usually a file in the Etsy folder with something along the lines of Etsy star release star, which usually contains some information. It'll tell you like there'll be a Red Hat release, Fedora release, Arch release.
Open, it's like Susie release was that?
We're not talking about Susie. I love Susie. It hurt me.
It's for history in case you run into one.
Yeah. It's too bad because it's really
That's how I started.
That's like I used to have a phrase I want to say out online about them being able to scribble rougher language, but it's too bad because it really has some nice components. You get bonus points. You mentioned you can do RPM-QA prep, look for the kernel, trying to figure out the versions from that. But LSB release is probably going to be your best, and uname are going to be your best answer for this one.
If the system's been installed with the standard tools, most of them you can just look at the boot directory to see what the kernels are made.
Yep.
Or in proc.
You won't know which one's active if there's more than one of them.
Yeah. You can look at that, like drug.com and stuff like that, and drug CFG and stuff. There's a bunch of different ways to find out what's booting in the system and stuff like that. And if you run Red Hat or something like that, they'll normally put like dash Red Hat or dash Oracle or something in the kernel as well. Because they're not normally running
Fedora release, if it's Fedora or whatever, 28, 27.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I didn't have that one down there. That definitely will help you out a little bit there. How do you determine the IP address of your system?
There's a couple. There's a couple.
I have config.
Well,
It depends on what you're looking for, partially. A lot of time with this question, you can figure out when somebody got into Linux. Because they type if they say the phrase if config,
that's
me.
me.
Old timer, same here, buddy. The new / correct answer is IP address show. It's a more recent person or less set in their ways. George Neal is in this category.
I just do the short version, IP space A.
Oh, even better.
Thank you. I hate all the extra spaces.
Which is what I quit doing ifconfig until I ask my Mac, and then I have to go back to ifconfig.
I think you can always symbolic. So I ended up installing the net utils on almost every one of my boxes just to get the config stuff back. If the person answers estimate config, odds are they know they should be using IP or being stubborn. Because they took it out of the path for a lot of people a long time ago with SP and stuff.
Yeah, depending upon systems, it works one way or the other.
That's a good thing about Linux.
Can I get it with SS and that stuff?
Yeah, you can. Oh, you can figure out NetStat too, yeah. Keep in mind as bonus points. So that's definitely something to also take a look into. So that, well, I think you can also get it if you can also get to it if you go through IP tables, and it'll tell you exactly what your initial is if you override.
Like the live IP tables.
Yeah. I think if you enable something you can do, there's a million different ways to do it, but you should know the basics on that one. But definitely the more approaches you have, there's no bad answer.
First I find out a MAC address, then I go to the switch and ask it which.
Who is logged into the system? This one stumps more people than I would like to admit.
W.
Yeah.
Not who is logged in the system, who has logged into the system.
Last. Right through that.
Yeah, the usual answer is last. Bonus points if you do last B, which shows bad logging attempts. Which if you have a system on the network, like let's say the Nebraska.org website, you type last B, you'll see a lot of people trying to get in this root. It's like, give it up, people. Root's disabled for SSH. It ain't happening.
They should just do that as part of the login problem.
So you're still using 22?
You know, by not doing it, it keeps them busy trying
That's true. That's
for a
time to
while
spend
on
on
something that'll absolutely
might
never
work.
work.
What is it?
So the longer they spend doing something that absolutely can't work, the better it is for the security.
That's why when I get the phone calls, I go ahead and press one to talk to my person. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna waste your time a little bit now. Save the next guy.
Well, it comes down to like the concept of if you guys have played around with Fortnite, you hit various ports and it'll open a port temporarily so you get into the system, and it makes the system theoretically perfectly invulnerable and stuff like that. It's like you just keep raising the bar until eventually the point where it's like, oh, I can't ping that port because Cox had to block 25 outbound. Now I can't get to my system. Well, that sucks. So whenever you're doing that kind of stuff, always keep that in mind that you may not have access to as many ports as you'd expect. That's why we do UDP. Very nice. If you want to get fancy, you mentioned about directly through logs, WTemp, Etsy for additional information. That episode will be happy to last. One of the things, if you ever start looking at how machines tend to clean up after they've been hacked, is people will tend to go through, clean out the WTemp, all those kind of logs, trying to pull that information out to hide their intrusion. And you can learn a lot from the whole process of doing that. But for this point, last B is plenty. Question 6, what are limits permissions and how do you figure them out and how do you set them? This is one of the longer answers. I think this may be 3 slides. The basics, in order to explain, the basic Linux permissions work out into 3 groups and 3 types. Groups, owner, group, everybody. Types, read, write, execute. The command you use to see what they are is ls-l, and the command you use to set them is chmod.
State, county, municipal.
What?
From Blues Brothers. Oh. It's got commands.
Example, ls minus my file, rw, rr, permissions are our owner, Grothe can read, write the file, group, Grothe can read the file, and everybody else can read the file. Pretty basic stuff.
Do you ever hear it referred to as world instead of everybody?
Yeah.
I do, but I don't like that, so I don't use that. But it should, world's probably right, and if I was going to be, if I had given you the slides and you would give me that feedback, which you didn't, I would have updated
I thought it looked good. I thought I didn't need to make it that change. I thought it would make interesting conversations during presentations.
How many more of them I got? Like, where you going? What else?
It's not a link, it's not a directory, it's not
a... Yeah.
Sticky bits, not so.
We'll talk about the later.
Nice.
Changing permissions, example being chmod 0666 my file. Change permissions so everybody can read write to the file. Leaving 0 is Rockle, not needed, but it's pet peeve of mine.
To do it?
What?
To enforce, to make sure that you set all
the
you think you are?
Yeah, I always like to leaving the 0 in front of it. Just,
what if I wanted to do 1?
Well, that's the next slide. So that's an example of changing to that. If it's a shell script or something like that, you'll want to set the execute bit or program that kind of stuff as well. There are also extended attributes, set UID, set group ID. Those are very interesting. Get right down to it. Set owner ID, set UID, let's see, set user ID. As used when a program needs to run as that person. The example being, if you look at like password, that actually has set UID set, but has a very limited time it runs that command. That's because it actually has to update the exit password to shadow with new values and wouldn't have permissions running as you. So it has to do some stuff with that. There are also extended attributes. One of the things is if you ever deal with any security scanner that's worth anything, see if if you ever want to know if your system's been hacked, one of the first things you do is you look for any files that are set with set UID or set group ID that you're not expecting, because they'll almost always leave one around so they get back in the system, get back into root privileges. So there's various tools like Tiger and a whole bunch of other ones out there that exist that are all older tools that are written in Perl, some of that just do scans and do all that kind of information to get a database information.
To find all
Yeah.
players was
That's what that does.
Us old school people.
Yeah.
So
Unless it's been modified.
Yeah. Unless they want to put a Trojan version find on it as well.
So you proceed with the backslash.
But those are, you know, a little bit about those, 2000, 4000. There are also optional extended attributes as well, such as append only, which are settable via the chatter option. There's a whole bunch of stuff we start talking about SE Linux and stuff like that through permissions, and we're not going to go into it. If someone goes to a question like, well, we use SE Linux heavily here at this company, your response should be like, well, I hope the next company does.
What's your secret?
Yeah, what do you do to make SE Linux run well? But it's
we only have 2 servers.
yeah.
To sort of go, how?
At the end of every command, we append disk-free labels, so it's just able to figure it out. But I don't think I have them in there, but I just wanted you should know a little about. There's a lot to this topic, obviously. There's a whole bunch just to cover the basics. If you don't know this stuff, you should know this stuff.
And if you really want to get esoteric, fackles.
Yes. We started dealing with the extended access control list stuff. That's when things get really interesting. There's a whole set of POSIX attributes and stuff you can set on. Like
You have to enable it on the mount point before you can even use it.
And it only works with certain file system types.
Yeah.
VXTs, BetterFS, and some of the other ones like that.
It's like fine tuning folders and files.
I tried to do that.
Many people have tried.
Yeah. We end up giving them full out of it. It's your box. Oops.
Excuse me. How much space is a user directory using? One of the things you'll be dealing with is people don't know what they're doing with this space. They copy stuff and copy stuff and copy stuff and copy stuff. I just got busted for this the other day.
But
Why are you copying that?
I know that was the question I got asked. And my answer was, I didn't want to throw anything away.
The job that brought me to Omaha back in 1989
oh.
had a small software breach that turned into a very large one. My boss, who was leaving, decided to copy all of the software into his own directory. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting at the system terminal, and I'm getting these warnings that we've out of items.
Yeah.
We had a chat. I chewed my boss out.
He's leaving. He's leaving. It's all right. Did you know he's leaving? Does that mean him up?
Yes.
They need that now and again.
Yeah, and I had.
There's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things.
Hard the stuff in
See?
That will never have problems. For how much space the user is using, the user command you use is du-h.
Or duh.
du-h, home growth, tell you how much space I'm using. -h is human readable, -m is megabyte, -k is kilobyte, etc. There's a whole million different options on there. du-a will tell you how much space each file is using. If you have a couple ISOs and stuff like that in there, it can always be useful to have that. Or you have a tarball of all the code for various stock places. So just know your way around.
Luckily, our source code was pretty small. The database was quite large.
He was taking database too?
No.
Oh, good.
But there was a lot of files.
I'm sure. We used to always have this problem with our Big Brother monitoring system. We create all these little RRD files.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it just created billions of them. It's like you create inodes, like, how many inodes should you create? Not enough. So and when we ended up redoing the file system, make gas testing it over and over and over again. We tried Riser and a whole bunch of other stuff just to get around it. Just kept never.
ZFS?
This is before ZFS. This was back when Riser was still a thing. Riser FS was still a thing. So the question is, how much disk space is available in the system?
Yeah.
Def Leppard.
Pretty much use the df command, usually free disk on the current drive, df dash minus h period. Free space on all the drives in the system, df minus h. To show just the local drives, df minus hl.
Yeah. That can get some squirrely if you've got a latency issue on a remote link to NFS mounted system.
Right or wrong, another thing I do with DF is when I don't know what the directory I'm in is attached to, if I do a DF tab, and it tells me who I'm connected, where the directory is.
Okay, actually, would be a good idea. Especially if you start dealing with the point where you're dealing with a company that's got like a lot of mounts and stuff like that, mounts and stuff across.
Sub-mounts,
Yes.
where you got multiple mounts underneath the mount.
No! Oh, that's just.
I don't know how to do that.
Oh, that hurts my brain.
Done it at
Oh.
NFS file system mounting a local file system.
I had a recursion event once that is not supposed to happen.
Yeah. There used to be this gentleman I used to work with, really sharp guy, Chris Olson. He would always have every directory he had, he'd always have to make sure to have a symbolic link to the directory above it in his home directory. So back in the time, if you were on Solaris and tried to figure out how much disk space he was using, it would just go into OLUG. His response was, "You don't need to know how much disk space he's using."
Then how do we do the passing thing?
Nice.
That was a tremendous. There's a limitation. It's not a limitation modern to use, but it wasn't that one. And the fact that he actually went through the process of figuring that out just impressed.
That's called satisfaction.
Yes. Question number 9: how do you start, stop the service? How do you see those services running? How do you enable, disable a service?
It used to be easy.
Yes.
Then they broke it.
Everything used to be easy.
Now it doesn't.
Now it's like
now you add,
shaking up some bones and throwing them on the ground.
It's like I pissed off my wife. I'm not telling you. If you want to know, you should look it up.
It's kind of, I gotta admit, System D has one thing that's really nice to do aside.
She says TS, but yeah.
But the System D that has the ability to do personal System D stuff, you can create System D for your users for various stuff. You can start and stop stuff like that way. Tremendous feature, very good in Ubuntu. And Red Hat has said, no way in hell we're going to support it. Which sometimes is just, I love Red Hat, but sometimes they just annoy me a little bit. Like their decision to remove BetterFS from 7.5, which is going to set back file systems.
I thought they just gave up on BetterFS.
Well, when they did, that pretty much sealed its fate almost.
Yeah. I don't know, it's still around. And there's always ZFS that rule and run Ubuntu and play games licensing. There are 2 major options, the answers for this one. Service is the old option, still being used in CentOS 6. It has some holdouts. There's an entire branch of Debian called Debian, which is devoted to nothing but the extinction of System D. It is astonishing how hard it is getting to be to have a system without System D now, because it started to roll stuff up like.
Still irritating, but I get
this, yeah, we all are. It's rolling up stuff like TTYs, all sorts of stuff. Oh, it's just sucking it all up. Eventually, you won't be running Linux anymore. You'll be running System D. Eventually, Linux kernel will just become a small part of System D. But it'll have its own X11 Windows servers. But I'm over it though. I'm not.
Has anybody made a System D logo that looks like Sunny D?
I don't think so. System D is a new option, except on most distributions with a few notable holdouts. Debian, Slackware still hasn't gotten around to it yet, but Slackware still hasn't accepted pluggable authentication modules yet. And they still call it SCAM, Swiss cheese authentication modules. So. Also, I know if you're one guy doing your distro forwarding, you can do whatever you want to. You can say, I'm not going to support this, I'm going to support this.
And if you're an old school Unix guy, you like Slackware.
Lots of people like Slackware. I used to love that.
System D and Nib, man.
The way it was supposed to be. There are other answers as well, like checkconfig, SNIT.d, and others, but System D should probably be what you mentioned. Any place you get a job at nowadays is going to be going, it's going to be System D or going to System D. It's the way it is. It's CentOS. It's the way it's like. Seeing if the service is running, the old way it's service SSHD status, the new way system control status SSHD. You may ask the question, why did they put the order the parameters around the system D? Screw you, that's why.
That's right. It really should take it both ways.
really
They should
break
reserve those
everybody's
words
scripts.
and have it on the front or the back.
Yeah. So enabling, disabling a service SSHD, enable, disable, system control, enable, disable, check config. There's a whole bunch of different options there. The important thing is just know how to do it in your system, go through, test it, obviously, make sure you feel reasonably good about it. Stopping service SSHD stop, start, restart, whatever you want to do with it. System control, status, stop, restart. I should say SSHD, but it's all good. But yeah, it can be kind of interesting.
Go back.
Sure. I haven't been bugging out, let's hope skip it. As your system control.
That's how I stop the service is by hitting start.
No, that's not one of the ways to do it. It should just be stop.
And on the previous one,
yes,
see if something's running.
Yes.
The old school way.
Yes.
Keep with PS.
Yes.
And Grothe.
Yeah, that's good to know. I mean, obviously, the more ways you have to do, there should be
that will work on every one if you know what's Grothe for.
Yeah.
That's 100% guaranteed to work.
XINET.
Then if you want to do the old way, do PS Hawks and how you guys deal with it. Yeah. But no, system D is coming down. Everyone should just accept it. It's
why does PS not use a dash in front of this?
the reason why PS doesn't use a dash in front of for aux is because they were taking the BSP syntax versus System 5 syntax. When they merged together in System 5 release, when they merged together the System 5 release 4, that's what they did. Pardon? How long has the system been up? When was last rebooted? There used to be such a desire for people to keep this number high as they possibly could.
I remember on Slashdot, people bragging about that.
Yes.
Because I'm lazy, W.
The best answer here is uptime, or W, which would not be bad. Uptime tells you how that system's been up, so you can figure out the last reboot. This shows you where the go-to commands if you're having weird issues in your system. Because one thing to keep in mind is a lot of times if your system's having an issue, it could reboot so quickly you don't pick it up in your monitoring tools. So actually doing this can help you out and figure out what's going on with it sometimes. I've had reboot loops that are just not consistent enough that you don't know what's going on. But it's not being picked up by your monitoring system, just like some monitoring system only listen every 5 minutes, every 10, every half hour, that kind of stuff. So it's not an actual heartbeat on it. But definitely good thing to know. In the old days, it used to be uptimes were measured in thousands of hours, days, months, and years. Nowadays, everybody needs a patch. If you want to keep a system running nowadays, like a carrier grade 5.9 type situation, there are tools that will let you dynamically modify a kernel while it's running like Splice, Oracle, and there's a Red Hat equivalent, so I can't remember what it is now. There's tools that will actually modify your kernel and actually load dynamic models that do additional stuff that actually put patches in there. So some cool stuff. If you're playing around with there's a whole lot of Linux in the phone systems, but it's a lot of people. A lot of that stuff's not being used by the rest of us. There's a whole lot of capabilities in there. So
that's the legacy of the Bell system.
Yeah.
Created Unix.
But now, the one thing about nowadays is that the idea is it's supposed to be more redundant to be able to handle downtime. Like example being, Netflix has this thing called Chaos Monkey.
Yeah, I remember that.
Chaos Monkey is this program whose whole purpose is to be on your network and be a total bastard. It shuts down machines, services, unmounts drives, does all sorts of stuff, deletes users, does all kinds of stuff to your very system. You give privileges and stuff. You can say what the rules of engagement are. And the whole goal is see is if your system network and system will stay up. If you have enough redundancy in your stuff that it will not go down with Chaos Monkey running it. This,
if you properly configured your system, it can't happen.
I think that came about after they lost a bunch of AWS servers.
When their index went down. People who were still watching videos were still watching videos, but you couldn't get into the index to queue new ones.
They're using Kubernetes.
Well, we're talking like Chaos Monkey is like 6 or 7 years ago.
But everybody's using all sorts of that. How to check for open ports in the system?
Tuna.
It's tuna.
Netstat-tuna.
Oh. The usual answer is a variation of Netstat. Netstat does tuple, does usually pretty good. Just tell you what has network connection on the system. NetSAP-and direct listen is also really popular. It's listening currently on the system when ports are open.
So SS. You don't have SS?
Nope, I do not. What's that going to do for you?
That's the replacement.
Oh.
All these frickin' replacements. You know, Linux, good. It's going to change.
All right. Bonus points for doing without SS. Also, bonus points for doing with LSOF. LSOF is list open files. You will someday need an LSOF in your life because you will have something where you have a system with, you need to unmount a drive in your local system or something that somebody's still logged into. You need to know what process has that drive. And you need to be able to do that stuff. You need to figure out who's accessing said file, what's happening here, what's happening there, what's happening there. Read the man page for LSF. It will eventually save you. It's a very valuable little tool. I actually ended up using it 2 days ago because I was trying to unmount a drive that I had a session still on. I had to figure out what was using it. It turned out it was my Flex server. Oops. So nothing the little system control, these the little system control can take care of. Mmap isn't a bad answer, but it's typically not the best answer. That's a kind of interesting approach towards it. One thing to keep in mind here is listen to the question carefully. If it is open on a remote system, mmap is the correct answer. Otherwise, it'll probably go NetStat or SS. Better yet, ask for clarification. Explain your thought process. This should be a question that you should be able to ask, get some additional clarification from, and provide multiple avenues, different scenarios, and hopefully get a couple bonus points here and there. How do you determine which process has a file open? Exactly. I'll put that one in there right after that one. The usual answer here should be LSF. LSF some file will tell you which process has the file open. LSF-P process ID will tell you which files have a process open. These are complementary themselves, but it can be very helpful in that. It tells you all sorts of stuff about it. You should do things like on your system ps-ef grep sshd, then just run ls-p, then the sshd hit and just see what files has up, what information it has. Gives you a little idea. You end up using that to trace stuff every now and then. It's kind of a complementary thing to the regular trace when stuff's running, but it can be very nice. One situation where I've used this in the past is an Oracle database I was running very poorly. I was trying to figure out why. It turned out I was not, my path was not using the same flow libraries I thought I was using. I wasn't using the 10 libraries like I thought I was using the 8 libraries. And it did not tell me that because it was dynamically loading something else internally. So LSF, it saved my bacon in the past.
One of the things I use for LSF is when somebody's got a handle on something that my space is filled up, because we go through files a lot, and so there'll be one mark for deletion, but yeah. The VGS or grep are deleted.
I've actually had a situation like that happen before where I had an Oracle database up and running, and I deleted the files from it by mistake. And I ended up, and I was able to actually recover them by getting the INOs back and reestablishing the connections back so it didn't delete the files. It was one of those moments when I puckered so hard, you can probably hear it in other places.
Does System Tap do similar?
System Tap can do a lot of that stuff.
Okay.
I mean, theoretically, everything that LSF can do, NetStack, SS can do, all this kind of stuff can do, you can get to it through the proc file system. It's all there somewhere. I was playing around with a version of the NetStat the other day. I was writing Python, just going through hitting proc to get information on it because I'm really a masochist. I don't know how to read man page sometimes, but all this kind of information, that's another thing definitely to know. I don't know if I put it in your slide, but know what proc is, know a little bit about the love of proc. You should all love proc. Because proc, yes, that's coming up.
Love man.
Even though man is disapproved now, you should be using info because you know that's the old school. Wham! How you like it?
Info sucks.
No, if I'm going to use NewsFlow, I'm just going to Google it, and that's going to give me a man page.
Well played.
Well played.
You're in that data center that has no connection now because it's buried.
Question number 13, miscellaneous. The following may also come up to be reviewable. Oh, what was that? Oh, let's skip that.
No, you can't.
Question 13, IP tables, net filter, UFW firewall. UFW is Ubuntu's firewall.
Still haven't moved away on that.
I can tell you one thing about it.
Because that's still up front, isn't it? Or
Yeah. You have oh, I've not embraced that yet.
Me neither.
UFW, one thing about UFW, and this is everybody, this is worth the price of admission alone tonight. If you use UFW on Ubuntu and you use Docker, it will not work with UFW unless you tell it to actually put your Docker stuff through the UFW chain. If you don't tell it to do that, it will just bypass it. And everybody will be able to get to anything in your Docker instances that you have wide open.
whoa.
Yeah. She has some favorite tools, utilities, and so on. Security modules, if you really just want to say, hey, I'm a masochist and a sadist. I like both inflicting and feeling pain. There's AppArmor, there's SE Linux, there's Smack, there's Tomoyo. You can talk about things like Fire Jail, which is actually kind of cool thing. It's in black and Firefox, all sorts of stuff. Just have a generic idea about these repair talk, at least in general terms. Like, what does firewalling do? Enhances your routing, lets you open and prevent ports from happening, redirect traffic, stuff like that. We asked a question about security modules. I disable those because I want stuff to run. It's usually the answer I give on that.
Did you do a demo on Tomoyo?
I love Tomoyo. I just can't find anyone else who.
Did you do a demo on it?
Yeah. I can't find anyone else who's willing to embrace the love of Tomoyo like I did. I mean, if I was developing something like an automotive system, anything that was like a high security type target, Tomoyo is tremendous because you can put it through the various paths and lock it down to those paths only until you go off that path and it just stops hard. But if you are able to go through all your paths, you can do some amazing stuff. I do love it. I was trying to talk to some local company that does something to do with elections and stuff, and they didn't seem interested. How do you give a person the ability to run a job as root? This is one of those things. If you answer, give them the root password. You just
Give them the bye.
Yeah. The best answer here is probably sudo. I think I have a little more about it. To give a user the ability to be able to sudo bash add the following SE sudo orders, user all.
Yeah, you say what command? What do you have to do?
Yeah, it goes down to three. There's three tuples there. The first one is what terminal IP they're allowed to access it from. The second one is which user they're allowed to do it as and what the command is. And the third one is what's allowed to become two rows. I just read the command page.
No password.
That's in here. Give the user ability to run a command is root. Once again, the best answer is probably sudo. User all root. No password. User bin rsync. That gives this user the ability to run rsync with any commands. You think about it. Well, can rsync do things like overwrite bin bash or something that would have different privileges and stuff? Sure. You're taking a lot of risk with that. You can keep paring it down and give more and more restriction upon it. So it can be really a nice thing to do. Bonus points, you mentioned writing, scripting, and rsync to do a set UID on it. Bonus points, but not the best idea. So the point being there is you need to know a little about sudo. You know about add somebody to it. Normally what most people do, I know, is they'll VISE sudo orders. They'll copy the line where it says root and put their name in there. Or also put root comma their name. That's how they usually do it. But it tends to work pretty well, but it can do all sorts of, there's a lot of power in sudo in terms of delegation of duties and stuff like that. If you want to really spend time with it, you can do a lot of stuff to die down. You can let operators run jobs, sync stuff, restart web servers, all sorts of stuff. Example being, there's a company in town I know that runs some software that's can't actually run as root, so they just gave it the capability to do sudo edit on big files. And whenever someone wants to stop the file or stop the process, what they have to do is they have to modify the config file and put a bug in it so the restart doesn't work. So this all goes around.
I used to use that with Big Brother to execute. Remember 3ware? The card for doing raids.
Oh yeah.
So they had their little command line program that would interrogate the card to see how things were. So Big Brother, you couldn't run it because the running is Big Brother. Yeah. So you'd just do the TW clee through the sudo command like that.
there's a lot of stuff you can do. The power of pseudo is astounding. It's one of the more impressive things they really put in Linux there for the last 17 years. It does really do a nice job of handling it. For the longest time, some groups were holding out against it. It's just the standard. It's the way it is now. Question 15. This is the one I usually close with, because figure might as well close with the one that is another softball. Which usually by this time the person's either totally frazzled or they're doing well enough that you feel you want to see how they think about something. So the one I throw out here is, what resources do you use for figuring out solutions to a problem? Because if somebody goes in and goes, I know everything, they're an idiot.
Man pages, DuckDuckGo, coworkers.
Stack Overflow. If they're not getting denial of service attacks. Did you see the size of their denial of service attack?
No. Who? For GitHub?
Yeah. Stack Overflow got nailed with a giant one. I think
GitHub did. Yeah.
GitHub both got nailed. But there's been some Stack Overflow had one as well.
It was the biggest one ever.
Yeah. Well, there's IPv6 ones going on now.
Oh God.
World's getting better all the time. So, another open-ended question also has to be a good way to finish up the interview. Typical answers: man or info. You're not all like me. I tend to do man a lot. This is another thing I got grief from George about, actually. You should be doing info. Oh, the cool kids are doing info. You should do info too. My George just a couple of minutes ago. I know he's not listening tonight, so we're good.
Or you might be on a system where they didn't install those to save space.
True. Google, DuckDuckGo, Bing. Stack Overflow, always a great one. Great site.
I like their app on the phone's pretty good too.
Really? I've heard that.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice condensed into
Who's that, George?
Stack Overflow. It'll intercept the URLs and pull you right into the app like the Wikipedia and what does.
Everybody know who Eric Raymond is?
Eric S. Raymond.
Eric S. Raymond. He's a character.
Sendman?
Wasn't he doing? He was doing something population like that. He was doing there's a filter type thing on that, I thought.
Yeah.
But he was around at the time when open source was coming out as a term and stuff like that. He maintains some stuff. He wrote this book called Cathedral and Bazaar, which is a really good book. There's also this comic series called Everybody Loves Eric Raymond, which is funny, and he hates, which is what makes it funny. But Eric Raymond has some good stuff. Cathedral and Bazaar is like kind of old, all bugs are shallow with enough eyes and stuff like that. That's some of the basic truisms that we've all accepted as open source. He's been a founder of the open source institutes, but he maintains a website, a whole bunch of information on there. And one of the things is he maintains an article called How to Ask Questions the Smart Way, which is a great resource, definitely recommended. It talks about how to frame your question, who to ask it to, how to lay all the stuff out and stuff like that. He really does some good stuff in that. His URL for it is the Cathedral Bazaar /ESR FAQs. You can just go to the top and then it's all laid out there. They have a couple sections I love. Dealing with rudeness, which you better be ready for if you're going to start asking questions.
Okay. All right. Now I know why I screwed up. It was Eric Allman did something.
Oh, yeah. Well, what was Raymond? He did something.
Just list them as books and the movies he was in.
Because he did something. We did Procmail or one of those type things. He did one of those mail systems, filtering system. The other one is on not reacting like a loser. He's also done some stuff that's more controversial, and he maintains the hacker jargon dictionary and stuff like that and stuff. He's got some good stuff on his site, but he's also kind of a character sometimes. So, the summary. This gives you a quick idea of some of the types of questions you might be asked during a basic Linux interview. I've used this basic format with different questions in and out, put some of the highlights in there multiple times. And it's worked out usually pretty well, because usually by the time I get through about 5 to 10 of these, I've got an idea whether this person is someone. It's not so much the person has to know everything, because if someone comes in saying they know everything, they're going to be in some blast to work with. That's usually how I go with it. But it's like the person should be willing to learn things, be able to show where he's going, stuff like